Hello Facebook, hello YouTube, what is up everybody? This is Ruben and I'm back again with another Ruben report. And for today's video, we're finally going to be installing these parts that have been waiting on my shelf. This is the oversized brake rotor for my KLR 650. I want to get a bit more stopping power to make it a half decently safe motorcycle to ride on the road. It's already well known that the stock brakes on the KLR 650 are pretty terrible. In off-road situations, fine, but for commuting and being able to do emergency stops, it's just not strong enough to bring this big bike to a screeching halt when necessary. So we're going to be upgrading the front brake rotor. I have a tutorial video here. Everything looks pretty straightforward. But as you guys can see here, it shows that there are additional parts inside. So we're going to see what else I ordered along with this Typhoon brake rotor. And as we can see here, I got a Tusk hydraulic brake bleeder. All right, this will allow me to bleed the brakes and replace it with new brake fluid. Don't know if I'm going to be doing that today, but I will definitely be using this later on. I also got a drill through subframe bolt kit. I went ahead and just added this to the order because I also know that it's quite a known fact that the subframe bolts on the KLR are pretty weak. Although I don't ride this bike off-road, I do load it up quite a bit going to the grocery store and whatnot, and just do regular commuting. I don't necessarily I haven't really foreseen my subframe snapping in half just because of loading up with groceries, but this will just be an extra assurance that just doesn't happen. Or maybe I want to do some adventure riding sometime later down the road. Okay, this is the extended brackets to install the oversized brake rotor, and then this is the main prize, the big deal, the oversized rotor. And as you guys can see, it's a pretty big difference between the stock. Okay, so that's the stock is 230 millimeters, and this here is going to be a lot bigger, 320 millimeter disc is what this one is. I know that Tusk sells one that's, I believe, 270. Yeah, I believe they sell one that's 270, or maybe I'm mistaken. They do sell one that's a little bit smaller. I went ahead and went with the biggest one, and hopefully this is again going to give us a lot more stopping power. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting the wheel off of the bike, and then we will get the old rotor off and we'll go through the process and get the new rotor on. Alright, and just for reference, we have 14,609.2 miles on the bike. I like to put all the mileage in on my videos just so I can keep tabs on when certain things were done. Alright, so disassembly process is pretty straightforward. There's a cotter pin that goes through this little castle nut. I took it out already. And then I used a breaker bar and another ratchet on the other side to break the nut free. And so you just take this off. Alright. Like so. Put this down here as well. And then I would get maybe a rubber mallet to kind of knock the bolt through, and it should come out on the axle should come out on the other side. Give me a moment. Alright, I went ahead and got the rubber mallet, knocked out the axle, pulled it out from the other side. It came out pretty easily. I went ahead and undid the speedo hub here. Comes off really easily. and now the wheel is completely free. I don't know when the last time this wheel and bearings and things of that such was greased, but when I took it out, it was pretty greasy, but it smells pretty bad. So I'm definitely going to be re-greasing this with my grease gun. I don't know if you guys can see, it's like all black and smells kind of like tar. So it's pretty old, whatever the grease on there is. I'm gonna get my grease gun, re-grease this before putting this back on. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting this rotor off. Oh, also, side note, I have a center stand on my bike, but I went ahead and put a jack underneath just to keep it up in the front a bit, because once I took the wheel out, the bike started to tilt a little bit forward, and I didn't like that. So if you're doing this, it's nice if you have like an actual bike stand, or possibly even a bike lift, wheel chalk, whatever it is that you want to use. The center stand is a really nice addition. Just know, depending on the type of surface that you're working on, you might need to use a jack to support the front part of the motorcycle just a tad bit, All right, next step to do is just lay the wheel down flat, possibly put something underneath like styrofoam I took from the box here, just so the Speedo cable or the Speedo pickup hub is not like getting all dirty on the floor. Now once you have it flat, get yourself a ratchet with a long extension. These bolts are hex heads, and they're all 6 millimeters. So you get yourself a 6 millimeter Allen key. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you attack each one of these bolts straight. Make sure that you keep the wrench completely straight. You're going to press down on it, give it pressure, and then give the bolt a bit of torque. It might take a bit of force to break it loose. Once it's broken loose, they come off pretty easily. But you want to make sure you keep it absolutely straight, because you don't want to strip the bolts. The bolts, they look like they're pretty decent quality bolts, but you just want to be careful. So make sure you keep that wrench straight, because if you strip one of these, yeah, it's going to be a bad day. Alright, so now once you get all the bolts off, you just lift it right on up. It comes right on off. And once we have this off, you can really see the difference between this old rotor and this new one. We'll lay them on top of each other. Yeah, it's a pretty substantial difference. Also, if you have like a magnetic tray to keep all your bolts so they don't, go nowhere. But those are all the bolts look like. It looks like I might put some Loctite on these. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. All right. Next, get your new rotor. Okay. Place that down on here. Okay. Line up the holes, and then we're going to install that. Alright, I got all the bolts back installed. I went ahead and hand tightened them all, and then went over each one in a crisscross kind of pattern. Same thing, make sure that you keep the ratchet absolutely straight. Don't have it kind of to the side or like that, because that's how you strip stuff. So keep it straight, push it down, and once everything is relatively snug, go over it one more time in the crisscross pattern to really, not murder tight, but snug it down a bit. I'm gonna try to get the torque specs here in a moment. Okay, now that we got the brake rotor installed on there, we want to take a look at our bearing. So you just pull out this middle part here. This is just a dust cap, and there's your bearing. Okay, and as you guys can see, there's like barely anything here on this side, and on the other side it's already open because the Speedo hub acts like a dust cap for the other side. So we're going to take this off, we're going to clean it up real good with some paper towels, and then I'm going to get my grease gun and get some grease in there. Alright, sorry guys, I meant to film me cleaning things up, but it took a little bit longer than expected and I forgot. But I cleaned up the front side, or the Speedo side. This was really dirty, but I cleaned it up, put some new grease on there. This side as well, cleaned up, put some new grease on there. Inside of the actual Speedo, okay, you guys can see a little bit in there. There's still some of that dark, nasty stuff, but I tried my best to get as much as I could in there with a paper towel, kind of get all that out. There's just a little bit of residue left. But once inside of that little Speedo housing is this, okay, this comes out. This was completely caked up with that black tar stuff that you guys can see in there. And all you got to do is just kind of flip this way, and this should fall out. And what this is, you guys can see these gears. Okay, this interacts with the gear that's on the inside, and that's pretty much how the bike reads the wheel speed. It's a really simple mechanical system. So you can allow this to fall out, pull this out, clean this up. Okay, so now that this is clean, it's all clean in there, I'm gonna pack the Speedo housing with the grease and get this all greased up, and then we're gonna put the wheel back on the bike. Alright, before we get the wheel back on the bike, we're gonna need to install the adapter that Tusk provided in the kit. And the adapter should go on, yeah, it goes on this way. Okay, so it goes on this way and comes behind like so. Okay, that's how you should install it. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that back on the bike, and I'm gonna get the brake caliper put in as well. Okay, you guys can see how this is grooved, so it's supposed to line up, you know, exactly with the brake caliper thing. Okay, so I'll get that on the bike, and then we'll put the wheel on the bike. Okay, I went ahead and got the wheel back on the bike. Okay, I don't have the axle just in yet. I went ahead and put some grease on it. You want to make sure you grease this up pretty well. And now I'm going to put it back on the bike. Alright, and just like that, you got the new front disc on the bike. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down, take it for a little test ride, and we'll be right back to do the subframe bolt upgrade. Alright, I just got back from my little test run, and I definitely have to say the bike has some more stopping power. The front brake, before, it wouldn't even lock up completely, but now the front brake locks up, and really gave me a reminder that, you know, this bike doesn't have ABS. So the front brake locked up, the back brake locked up, and I was slipping and sliding left and right, which was pretty scary. I mean, I'm not used to that motion. So, but yes, the brakes work tremendously well. They work a lot better than the stock brake. So, a lot more stopping power. That mission is accomplished. So, thumbs up there. Now for the subframe bolt upgrade, I'm probably going to make this a two-part video. So part one is the front brake upgrade, and then tomorrow we'll come back out and we'll do the subframe bolt upgrade. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there, and peace.